All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening for this session. This is the fourth session of our series in celebrating fathers as the Kenya Medical Association. It's an honor to have every single one of you join us this evening. My name is Dr. Okoth Onyango, and I will be moderating this session for us today. I think one of the things that we must agree is that this evening promises to be a very rich, personal and thought-provoking conversation. We have curated a panel for us that will enable us to explore legacies of fatherhood in medicine. We will spotlight the humanity behind the white coat, the dads who not only heal in hospitals, but also mentor, they sacrifice, and they nurture across both the clinic walls and dinner tables. So please feel warmly welcome to engage, not just as listeners, but also participants. You're encouraged to share your reflections throughout the conversation in the chats, and later on, we'll have a Q&A session. And so you can also ask our panelists the questions you may have. So karibuni sana, and let's begin. And to begin by, first of all, introducing our panelists. First, let me introduce Dr. Kelvin Somoine, who is a recent MBCHB graduate from Mount Kenya University and a pre-intern. He has growing interest in internal medicine and psychiatry. He's actively involved in mental health advocacy through PsychWell, and he has served as a local officer in the Standing Committee on Medical Education and SACE, that is the Medical Students Association of Kenya. Above all, he's a proud father of 2 young children, aged 3 and 11 months. So welcome, Dr. Somoine. Please say hello to us.
Thank you for the introduction. Yes, I'm excited to be here today and to speak on the journey of fatherhood. Thank you, Dr. Okoth.
Thank you so much, Dr. for creating time to be with us. Next, I will go straight to introduce to us Dr. Rain Ngalamwendwa, aka the Dr. Your Biceps. Dr. Rain Ngalamwendwa is a dynamic consultant pediatrician. He's known for his heart for children and passion for preventive care. He's also a very powerful health advocate, using his voice in public health, mental wellness, and fitness. And when he's not in a clinic or in the gym, you might just find him on a stage, merging rap and medicine to spark bold conversations. Dr. Rain, karibu sana, please say hello to us.
Asanteni sana, thank you guys for the invite, and it's a pleasure to be here. And happy belated Father's Day.
Asante sana, happy one to you too, thank you. Next, joining us tonight is Dr. Moses Okech Osom, who is a seasoned obstetrician gynecologist. He's practicing in Nairobi. Dr. Osom also serves on the board of the KMS ACO, where he plays a key role in guiding the strategic and financial direction of the SACO. Beyond medicine, he is a dedicated husband and father of 4. He is deeply committed to his family's emotional, educational, and spiritual growth. Please welcome Dr. Okech Osom. Dr. please say hi to us.
Thank you very much. Good evening. Glad to be part of this conversation.
Thank you, Doc. Thanks for joining us. And last but not least, we have with us Dr. Frank Njenga. And it's a true privilege to have you here, Dr. Frank Njenga, who is one of Kenya's most distinguished psychiatrists. He has over 4 decades of groundbreaking work in mental health and wellness. He is a fellow of the Royal College of Psychiatrists and founder of the Chiromo Medical Group, household group. He has shaped mental health policy, advocacy, and care across East Africa and globally. And from serving as a presidential advisor to using media and writing to challenge stigma, he continues to be a pioneering voice of healing in our region. We are honored to have Dr. Njenga with us this evening. Dr. Njenga, if you could please say hi to us as we start.
All right, very good evening, colleagues. I'm really privileged to be in your presence, and I look forward to an interesting conversation. Thank you.
Asante sana. So With that done, as I said, my name is Dr. Okoth. So we'll jump right into the conversation. We begin at the very core of this, and at the core, what I see is identity. Fatherhood is not just a title that you're handed in the delivery room. It's something that shapes you over time. And I'd like to invite each of our panelists to reflect on this issue. So my question, and I'll begin with Dr. Njenga. What does fatherhood mean to you personally? And how has it shaped your identity as a man and as a doctor?
If I was to define fatherhood in a word, I would say fatherhood means responsibility. And if I was to say how this has shaped and perhaps even defined me, it has shaped me by embedding me in the realization that from the day I became a father, I started a journey that I will continue until the day I die. But it's also a journey that is unique in the sense that almost literally with each passing day, new responsibilities, new opportunities, and new responsibilities come my way. And I think a bit like in a Darwinian sense, fatherhood becomes successful to those who are most adaptable to the different seasons of fatherhood. Thank you.
Oh, I mean, you've started on a very, very high note. Huh? It's something that from what you're saying, I pick there is the element of growth in it, and there is a continual shift in perspective and adaptation as you journey through fatherhood. It's not something static; it is a journey. I would
Absolutely.
invite. Thank you, Dr. Ri. I would invite Dr. Osom to also, respond to the same. What does fatherhood mean to you personally, and how has it shaped your identity as a man and a doctor?
Thank you very much, Dr. Okoth. After a definition by Dr. Njenga, I feel like I should stand next to that definition, but I can give you the definition that rings in my mind when I think of fatherhood. Fatherhood is, to me, bringing up an individual who is not conscious of the person taking care of them as a father, up until they are conscious and aware of their surrounding and the closest person who is with them. Now, fatherhood also means to me being available to share the moments as now they become more conscious of their surrounding. So be the father who taught them how to ride a bike. Be the father who actually told them that, yeah, that's a cartoon. Be the father who described to them all the things that they see in their surrounding other than when their mother did so. So that is what I look at as fatherhood, because other than providing financially and emotionally, just be there as a father. So that's what I think fatherhood is. Maybe before I forget, I should also add that in the current world, fatherhood also doesn't mean you are the one who brought forth the child into the world. Fatherhood means even if someone else brought forth the child into the world, but now they are looking up to you. That is what fatherhood is to me. Thank you.
Oh, let's just sit with that for a moment. I think what I hear Dr. Som say is that fatherhood goes beyond biology. It's not just about you or someone who brought the child into the world. It's about the person who does the nurturing, the person who facilitates the growth. Thank you so much, Dr. Som, for that. I'll move on to Dr. Ngala. What does fatherhood mean to you personally, and how has it shaped your identity as a doctor and as a man?
Wow. So goes. Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
You can. All right. So to me, fatherhood as well, responsibility, I think that's the last thing is that for to be a father, I have to be responsible is
sorry to interrupt you, but we are having some, I think, some issue with your connectivity. We seem to be losing you.
Hey, did I lose you?
Yeah, for a minute we lost you. There was some breaking in your connectivity, but I think you're back.
All right. Let's just try that again. Hope it's not my Wi-Fi. So I was talking about how it's responsibility, but at the same time, there's also pressure that comes with fatherhood. So for me, that's also something I must acknowledge. Of course, it's pressure because you have this child you're taking care of. As a pediatrician, knowing, a little bit, and I think this also delves the same in psychiatry and knowing about adverse childhood events and knowing that you are responsible of this child to make sure that you nurture them in a very safe environment, in a very loving and nurturing environment, so that they can grow up to be the best as they can be due to neuroplasticity, because that will prevent all these issues that we seem to be having: substance abuse, depression, suicide. So just knowing that you have to be, of course, not perfect, but you really have to be on top of the game, knowing that this is your responsibility to make sure that this grows into a very healthy adult. So I will always say that's that pressure, but at the same time, motivation. It's a good pressure because pressure makes diamonds. It makes you a better person. It's fatherhood is sacrifice. A lot of the times, it's realizing you have to put this person in front before your actual self. It's also sacrificing a lot of your health, a lot of uh, your desires to just make sure that you're able to raise this child the best way possible. But it's also a beautiful experience and something that I really, really can't describe. And for as somebody to grow up and to challenge yourself and to continue to grow, I feel like parenthood and fatherhood is something on top of that list.
Thank you, Dr. Rain, for that profound feedback. I think I would now also invite Dr. Somwine to respond to the same. Dr. Kelvin.
Okay, thank you. So fatherhood to me means love, responsibility, sacrifice, and a classroom whereby I get to learn from my children, and also at a session like this where I get to learn from other doctors who are fathers. So it's also a classroom to me. So it has taught me patience and resilience, and it has shown me that leadership also starts at home, whereby I have to show my children on how to live, on what to do, on I have to guide them. It has also so as a pre-intern, it has transformed the way I see patients. I no longer just see a sick child or a struggling parent. I see someone's whole world sitting in front of me. So examples, there are times that my child also became ill. So that is when I came to realize how desperate parents are when the child is ill. So it deepened my empathy, made my advice more grounded, and reminded me that healing isn't just clinical, and it's personal. And fatherhood, above all, has taught me to listen better, to care, and to lead with compassion. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you so much to all of you. I think what I see, I hear a lot of growth. It is about teaching, but also growing as a person by yourself. There's a learning curve that you also go through as a man and as a father. I hear sacrifice, I hear nurturing, I hear love, responsibility, and I think those are very vital. Those are very vital pointers to what fatherhood does look like. I'll follow up on that with a question that I'll direct to Dr. Njenga. Dr. Njenga, if I may indulge you, have you noticed any shift in how society or the profession of medicine or healthcare generally views fatherhood now compared to when you began your journey? Or how or how your own father raised you? Have you noticed any shift in that whole dynamic, how the society or the profession views fatherhood compared to when you began yourself?
3 questions. First of all, about society at large. And there is a very fundamental change that has taken place over the 75 years that I have been around this earth. And the primary change is with regard to the systems of what I will very, very broadly call childcare. When I was a child, my father and my mother were my biological parents, but the community in which I lived were my real parents in more senses than one. And I depended for my day-to-day care primarily on my parents, but secondarily and very importantly, on my neighbors. My neighbors were in every sense other than biology, my parents. What I've seen over the years is a process where children are brought up by 2 people, sometimes more, because they include a nanny. They live in one house together. And if a neighbor in any way tries to interfere with the way the child is brought up, the police will be called. Just so that I make it clear, I didn't grow up in some backward, remote, faraway land. I grew up in the city of Nairobi. So I'm actually talking about changes that I have seen in the city of Nairobi as I grew up. The second question you've asked is, how have I myself evolved over the years? And that's an incredibly interesting question, particularly listening to my younger colleagues, some of whom might be my children, others my grandchildren. And I'm actually very interested in realizing that for them, fatherhood seems to be about 1 or 2 children with 1 or 2 wives maximum. But actually, that's not that. With time, that role of the person called father becomes broader by the day. Until today, the reason I'm here is because you're all my children. And I have a very deep and privileged responsibility to look after you. So, and the third question is about me and my changes over the years. Without saying more than I should, I've just completed doing my autobiography, which details in, I think, almost 300 pages, the differences between my father's parenting style and my own parenting styles, which are very, very different indeed. So that is the answer to your 3 questions. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Njenga, for that the very, 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 very packaged response. Yeah, I want us to take the conversation into a different level now. I want us to talk legacy. Leaning into that idea of impact, the footprints that you're leaving. Legacy is one of those words that sometimes sounds so big, but it often starts with small intentional choices, I believe. So as fathers and doctors, each of you is building a legacy, in real time. I'd like to invite you to reflect on this. How do you define legacy? And how does fatherhood shape your vision for what you want to pass on? How do you define legacy, and how does fatherhood shape your vision for what you want to pass on? I'll begin with Dr. Kapaya on this. Dr. Kapaya, can you hear me?
Sorry for the delay.
Sure.
To me, fatherhood, legacy is what I leave behind to my children. That is more of values, and the values that I'll leave to them. So that being confidence, love, how to be humble, the things that I'll teach them, from even the skills that I'll teach them to maybe swimming, and also how I'll impact their life emotionally from the advices that I'll give them, and even maybe, and even materially, what I'll leave to them. So I think that's legacy to me. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for that. I invite Dr. Ngala to respond to that as well.
Okay. Yeah, I think I echo the same sentiments as Dr. Ray has said, but legacy is, I look at legacy different nowadays as I used to, based on just changes in information and knowledge out there. But legacy is, I look at it different in the sense, back in the days, you can be how you have all these families, these big families, whether it's in the corporate world or business world, where you build your legacy, like for example, the Trump dynasty or those things. Yeah, those are usually what people would consider legacy. But I'd add that it's more values. What I did with my son, for example, is that I very intentionally knew that yes, I'm a doctor and that's my primary role as a pediatrician, but I decided to intentionally get back into the things I used to do, like on the creative side, the artistry, the music that I do. So, and one of the reasons I did that is because I wanted my son to understand that it's not just do well, study hard, become a doctor, and you succeed, is that there are different elements and the creative side. So as I was working on my album, my son was also around. He pretty much knows all the songs. He can hum, he can sing to them, and you'll just hear that. But I had to make that intentional decision of I'm getting back into music. Music has changed. It's not about doing it for validation or whatever, but more of setting an example. With fatherhood, with parenting, it's really monkey see, monkey do. So the best legacy you can leave behind is showing by example and not telling them that this is how you should be good, this is what you need to do, these are the grades you're supposed to get, but actually leading by action as opposed to um, telling them the right things. Because it's easy to tell somebody to do the right things, but we also have to look internally whether we are also able to do the same. Yeah, and also acknowledging that this is an individual that has his own goals, own visions,
Yeah.
and not try to take what I want per se, and also give him that autonomy to understand that this is born into this world free. The only thing you can do is guide him and let him build his own legacy per se. It shouldn't be um, like what I'm leaving behind, whether it is monetary or whatever. Yeah.
Mhm. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Ngala. Dr. Osom, over to you.
Thank you. I look at legacy in terms of mimicry or imitation, and not in the sense of only my children, even the society. So that what I'm displaying to the society is what I should display at home to my family. The children should look at me and feel like, okay, this path that he took ended up guiding my steps and making me decide. That's in relation to me as a father. Now, as a father, I'm also responsible to take them to maybe interact with their older cousins who are following a certain career path, because when you're trying to create that legacy that we are talking about, you also don't want exactly what Dr. Rain has said. You don't want them to be a doctor merely because you became a doctor. So take them to their cousins and their friends who are following the path of engineering, following the path of becoming a lawyer, and also teach them in relation to spirituality. What do you want to leave behind for them to follow when they finally start following the path that you followed. In terms of religion, you impact in that. You also try and make sure that the financial obligations are well taken care of, so that one time they are likely also to take care of their financial obligations. You also try and make sure that in their day-to-day interaction, they understand that you as an individual is not only concerned about their well-being. Now, as a doctor, sometimes they ask questions in relation to patients. My daughter asks me, why don't you just call the hospital today and find out whether the patients you're going to see are okay, then so that you don't go to hospital today. And I thought that is very brilliant, you know. So she sees me going to hospital rather to work. So clearly, according to her, in future, she's going to decide and modify what she sees me doing. That is exactly what I consider the legacy that I think.
Wow. I think so far we've heard about exposure, we've heard about impartation, we've heard about values as well. Let me invite Dr. Njenga as well to share his reflections on the same.
I think the definition of a legacy has been well articulated.
Yeah.
Except to add that a legacy is something that you receive from a previous generation or from an ancestor or from the past in general. So in terms of, say, my legacy, which is a very conscious process, it's something to do with the values and ideas that I hold. And I think some of you will know, I'm very loud and public about some of the ideas and values that I uphold and that I like to put on. But there's another component to a legacy, which is the impact and influence that one has. And with your permission, I'll give an example. At the top of your introduction, you mentioned that I was at one time presidential advisor in the Republic of Kenya. And I did the job of influencing policy direction in the field of mental health. And my expectation is that in addition to being a biological and social father to my nuclear family, I also see a legacy that is beyond that. Some people have very kindly and generously referred to me as the modern father of Kenyan psychiatry. If that is true, that's fine. But the point that I'm making here is that deliberately, if one is to participate in a conversation about legacy, legacy goes beyond the nuclear family and includes participation in processes that involve formulation of legal processes, policy, action plans that will impact society 50, 100 years beyond. So for me, legacy is about things that you don't eat today, things that your children don't eat tomorrow, but things that will shape society in generations beyond this and the next one. So it's a very broad concept, and one participates in formulation and putting in place a legacy by being conscious of the impact your legacy will have on society in general. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Dr. Njenga. And I think I'll still follow up with a question to you. Having walked a longer path, actually the longest on this panel, what part of your legacy do you feel, most proud to have passed on, or do you still wish to shape?
I'll talk about, first of all, the one that I am most proud of at a professional level. About 25 years ago, it came clear to me that one of the biggest problems in our continent, in the field that I practice in, which is psychiatry, was the paucity of leadership. and that there were too many individuals who died or passed on with all their knowledge and experience, particularly in the area of policy. I approached the World Psychiatric Association, and for the last 20 years at the very least, we have held, including 2 weeks ago, leadership programs in psychiatry, the consequence of which is that through the program, of which I have been one of many members, virtually all heads of departments of psychiatry and or hospitals in Eastern, Southern, and Western Africa have passed through the program, of which I was privileged to be part of. Now, there are people who are wondering, this Mzee is talking rubbish. Let me tell you, Violet Okech, head of mental health at Kenyatta, is one of my earliest students. Lukoya Atwoli, the dean of the Aga Khan University Hospital, is one person who passed through that program. Dr. Musheru, a very serious psychiatrist in private practice in Nairobi. The head of Butabika Hospital in Uganda is one of the students in that program. The professor of psychiatry in Addis Ababa, the professor of, you want me to continue? But that for me, the conscious decision to create leaders is for me the evidence that conscious decisions to create leaders is part of how you create a legacy. Thank you.
Wow, thank you for that. I think let me pass this other question to Dr. Osom. Dr. Osom, you know, how has becoming a father and your understanding of legacy changed how you define success? Is it still about achievement, or is it about impact, or is it a blend of both? And how does it look? How does success look to you in the long term?
Thank you, Doc. In terms of a legacy, the world has really changed. Look at what I was talking about, mimicking what some other people have left behind, and you realize you may need to curate yours in a unique manner that your children can actually understand. And at the same time, in terms of success, the key thing that I have actually thought about sometime is if my children could understand, and if generally the society could understand that success is not equivalent to the bank balance, that would be adequate for me to leave behind. Now, the reason I'm talking about that is if they could understand the basic discussion about inflation, whereby each and every year the value of the money that you put under the mattress depreciates, then it means if you decide to chase success in relation to the financial component, you've lost it. Then secondly, in terms of success, the way I view success right now is good health, happy relationships that are basically solidly laid on shared moments. Actually, I really value shared moments in terms of success. Thank you.
Wow. All right. Thank you so much for that. I want us to go again, you know, to the next level. I want to talk about balance, you know, the work, the sacrifice, and being present. The reality behind legacy. You know, being a father in medicine often means navigating very long hours, you know, tough calls. Just before this meeting, Dr. Rain was from work, and he had less than 10 minutes to hop onto this call, right? And, you know, and the constant pressure to show up both at work and at home. I'd love to hear from you, Dr. Rain. How do you balance the demands of medicine with the needs of your family? And what have you had to sacrifice along the way?
So guys, KPLC have done that thing to me.
Oh,
So
Pole.
yeah, you might not be able to see me. So let me just just go to microphone and just switch on the video. I'm sure I'm hardly visible.
All right, no worries.
Yeah, so exactly, as you're saying, I just got home 10 minutes. I needed to set up.
Yeah.
So my son hasn't seen me the whole day. I haven't seen my son the whole day either. But I think we live in a time, or particularly, I think the Gen Z have really showed us about prioritizing, work-life balance. I think they've done it particularly well. So I totally embrace um, the professional side, which I put in one silo, and there's also the side of fatherhood, another compartment, and then you have, being a husband on another side, and also being yourself. So, and the different things that you do. So it's very important just to compartmentalize the different things. So when it is work time, it's work time. Like once I'm home, I set myself in home mode. I am a pediatrician. I'm not to, we deal with very unexpected hours, times, any mother can go into labor at any time, acknowledging that. But at the same time, it's just also respecting boundaries, learning how to say no so that you can create balance for yourself. Because, we come from a profession where we put the patient first, and we often put ourselves last in terms of taking care of our mental health, just taking care of our physical health. We sacrifice, that's our training. So it's very easy to fall into that trap of putting the profession ahead, and then in the long run you miss out on the things that are really really important, and that's the milestones that your child is going through and that you want to be present for and need to be present for. So I also show, like I said in the beginning, I just show my son the different sides of me. He knows when I'm in gym clothes, he knows I'm going to the gym, and he's only 3.5. When I'm in scrubs, he knows I'm going to the hospital. He knows the name of the hospital. And then when he knows as well, when I'm going for events, when I have to go, and I'm not really a gigging artist. My wife is always a gigging artist. So when it's time to go for a concert, he knows he's attended concerts to see his mother perform. So he knows the different aspects of myself, to create this work-life balance, if you'd want to call it. Yeah. So yeah,
Wow.
I think that's what I can say.
Thank you, Dr. Ngala. I think as a follow-up to that, let me ask Dr. Somoine to speak on this, on lessons from your own father, or the father figures in your life. Are there habits or values from your own father that you've carried forward, or some that you've intentionally left behind?
Okay, yes. So one of the lessons one of the biggest lessons that I hope I'll be passing on from my father is sacrifice and love. So my father worked hard to make sure we had what we needed. So that's school fees, food, stability, and also love of a father. So he didn't complain much. He just did what had to be done as in that age that he was in, and he is a good father because he's also present. So he supported me and he guided me. So even when I had a young family, he was the first person who I went and told. And to my surprise, like he told me it's okay. Like he advised me well, and through the journey he has taught me a lot. And even when I became a parent, we become even closer, and I'm still learning a lot from him. Some things I'll leave behind, but to me, I think he was a perfect dad. But there's no necessary thing as a perfect dad. But yeah, I thank God for him.
Awesome. Thank you. Dr. Osom, let's talk about the reality of sometimes having to choose between home and work. Have you ever had to choose between a crucial family moment and a professional obligation? And how did you navigate that? How did it make you feel? how did your children, how did your family feel?
Thank you. Luckily, up to this point, the schedule has not been so bad. And actually, looking back, there are times when the commonest that I usually give is I'm a Seventh-day Adventist.
Yeah.
We go to church on Saturday. I try to make sure they understand that the whole family, we are meant to be in church on Sabbath day. Now, interestingly, I worked in a place where the rota would fall for me to do a Saturday. I can explain, you find that for the rota to run well, it is expected that on Saturday and Sunday, you have to pick at least a shift so that your colleagues can also have a Saturday, Sunday that's free. Now, at one point, I got a locum that allowed me to be somewhere for 4 hours on Saturday afternoon. So I swapped my Saturday day for that locum so that at least all Saturdays I would be available for us to attend to our spirituality. Now, that's one. Then secondly, there are things that I try to do so that when eventually there are days when I'm pressed to be away, they can understand that there are some rituals, such as being there when they are going to bed, being there when they wake up, they're going to school. So by doing those simple things, I'm trying to explain or just demonstrate to them that on the days when they don't see me doing that, it means maybe work pressed me to attend to it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for that. It's about sowing the small seeds that eventually grow up, and they sort of cover for you in the days that you are unable to show up as you would usually. I want to invite Dr. Njenga to reflect further on some fatherhood moments. Is there one fatherhood moment, joyful or painful, that has stayed with you or shifted how you view your role as a dad? Is there one moment that is joyful or painful that shifted, how you view your role as a dad?
Let me try and answer that by answering the previous question, which was a much easier question.
Sure.
You're asking me a very hard question for reasons known to yourself, which is this, that speaking now from the perspective of having been a doctor for 50 years now, and next month actually I'll have been a doctor for 50 years, there are maybe three ways of looking at that question. The first one, which I think has been adequately addressed, is what I will call the moment-by-moment challenges. When you're about to cut your daughter's first birthday cake and the phone rings and there is an emergency in labor ward, and if you don't go, then both mother and baby will die. The Hippocratic oath requires that you don't blow that candle and that you go and save. That's moment by moment. The second one is the one that Okech has discussed, which is more like week by week, month by month, and even year by year, which is how do you structure the work environment so that it fits into your role as a father. For me, what has worked in that particular sphere has been, I am like a football team whose name I cannot remember, that says you never walk alone. I have not in my professional life walked alone. And Dr. Nguithi, I don't know if she's on this webinar today, in more ways than not, has saved my life as a father, as a professional, because for 35 years, we worked in a complementary arrangement that I believe made me a better father and husband. And I hope and pray that it made her a better mother and wife, because when she's available, she covered for me and I covered for her for 35 years. So all my professional life, I have not walked alone. The third component, which is somewhat different, is the psychological and emotional presence or absence. I've heard what Okech has said about being present stroke absent in at bedtime, in reading poems and that sort of thing. But the body is not what fatherhood is about. It's about emotional presence. It's about psychological presence. To what extent are you consciously and deliberately present and available? Present and available. Are you so tired from theater every day that when you land for dinner, you are at and you're yawning away, essentially telling your children, just get out of this room. So there are those three components of availability that are critically important. The one moment that, if you ask me for one moment, that kind of was when I became a father for the first time almost 50 years ago. That I believe. And just to conclude this comment, it also depends on at what age you become a parent. Is that there's a difference between being a parent at the age of 42 and being a parent at the 42, for example. A 42-year-old is fundamentally different from a first-time parent at the age of 22 or 23. And that's something that perhaps we could discuss. I thank you.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Njenga, for that. I think what's clear is that being a doctor dad takes, heart, it takes hustle, and a whole lot of humility and grace. I want us to shift slightly, to talk about something we don't often say out loud: vulnerability, the mental well-being, and how we care for ourselves while caring for everyone else. Dr. Rain has alluded to this. Medicine teaches us to be composed, capable, and in control, to always sacrifice for the sake of others. But from what I hear so far and what I think is that fatherhood reminds us that strength can also look like vulnerability. I want us to talk about what it means to thrive as a doctor dad, not just to survive, but to thrive. Dr. Ngala, how do you care for your own mental and emotional well-being as a father? And do you allow your children to see that vulnerable side of you?
Thanks. It's a great question. So I would say one of the ways that I definitely sort out my mental health is the fitness aspect. And that's why even for my social media, my advocacy, I'll always really say, the pediatrician with biceps, the hip hop doctor, just to show that the different aspects of my life, which is the artist, which is the fitness junkie, because at the end of the day, it's very important for us, like I said, to lead by example. So fitness does an enormous part in my mental health. I think you guys know it better than anyone's. People in the psychiatry space know what it does for your brain and your mental health. So that's one aspect. The other aspect is keeping my creativity alive. So that's my artistry and the different creative aspects that I'm involved in, whether it is fashion, whether it's now social media influencing, anything that keeps my creative juice and creative mind moving does amazing for my mental health. Yeah, therapy also as well. I'm somebody who I think without therapy, I wouldn't be the capable father that I am for now. Like my child is now 3.5, so it's been good. I think therapy is been very crucial. but unfortunately, okay, maybe that's too personal. Let me not share that about my therapist, but it's been great doing that. What other ways mental health? I think those are the ones that really I would say that stick out or point out to me. But as well as having a very good support system. I have a very good support system in my wife. When you know the household is on point and taken care of course that does wonders. In terms of vulnerability, whether I would, I definitely would expose my child to be vulnerability or in a position of when I'm vulnerable. He hasn't seen that. I mean, there are some things you have to understand. You have to introduce at age-appropriate times. Like I said, you need to nurture your child. So if it's you want to create that space, but at the same time, it's something that I'm teaching him, like, it's okay to cry, it's okay to feel pain. It's not the usual boys are tough, boys don't cry, men don't cry type of situation in terms of vulnerability. But I am definitely shielding him of that right now because of his age. Um, so yeah, of course, maybe breaking down in front of him is not as much as it's being vulnerable. It's not what I'm showing him at this age. But should the time come when I feel like yes, this is age appropriate, he can manage those emotions, the psychology behind it, and understand that it's just having a bad day, then yeah, for sure.
Thank you for that. Dr. Kapaya, about, tagging on the line about modeling resilience, how do you model resilience for your children, especially, during the hard and uncertain times?
Thank you for that question. So, how I model resilience? So, for me, I'll speak because at the moment I'm a pre-intern. I've been at home like for 5 months waiting to be posted. I'll speak on how it was in my 6th year because I was a father then. Yes. So I focus on small, consistent actions like maintaining routines. That is seeking help when needed. So the person who I share is a certain lady called Gloria, who is my wife. Yes, and she's really like she's there for me and the children, and I have to say thank you to her because she's great. Other than that, I stay prayerful. I think I'm also a spiritual person, and I talk to God and I share what I feel like it's burdening me. Yes, and also during med school when I had a heavy workload in my 6th year, I used to take breaks to recharge, and also I used to just um, stay with my kids because they was like a source of happiness to me. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I'd like to direct my next question on burnout and recovery to Dr. Okech. On burnout and recovery, have you experienced burnout, and how did fatherhood influence your recovery or coping? Or if you've never experienced burnout, how does fatherhood help you to avoid getting to the point of burning out?
Thank you. It's very true. Actually, if you were to ask me about burnout, I would tell you fatherhood is one of the ways that I sort out burnout. There's a friend of mine who did exactly or experienced exactly the same thing that happened to me. And it made me feel like clearly doctors just attend to burnout in the same way. Now, if you look at burnout as maybe going for consecutive shifts, if you look at burnout as going back home and yawning, the way Dr. Frank Njenga has just demonstrated, I really laughed. So you're there, but you're so tired, you're not functional completely. one of the key ways of ensuring that burnout does not take you down, particularly in relation to the family, is to just minimize your operations within the workplace. For example, take advantage of your annual leave and plan appropriately. That's one.
Yes.
Then two, the friend of mine I'm referring to, Dr. Fred Kiriga, one time we were working together, and we were discussing, and he was telling me the way for the next 1 month, he is not taking any locum. And I asked him why, and he said, I think I am tired. And I told him, actually, it has happened to me before. I have been so tired. I said, I think I am going to let go of everything for the next 14 days. And when I go back home, I invest myself in just the interactions with my family. Of course, my wife also has been very supportive at home. Actually, I blend into what is happening at home, especially because she is there. Now, this has really helped me with burnout, just directing it at the family, staying in a way that you're actually taking a rest, but the availability at home is felt in a way that by the time you're going back to work, you have things to think about and recall in relation to the time that you took the rest. So that's what I've experienced in terms of burnout. Maybe just to also contribute to the discussion in relation to the vulnerability you are talking about, in just one sentence. I've been admitted in hospital on 2 occasions. The children did not know, they've never known that I've been admitted. So I think that's how I can define my vulnerability exposure to them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I'd invite Dr. Njenga to speak on guilt and emotional weight. Do you ever feel the pressure to hold it all together? And how do you protect your family from the emotional toll of your work?
Okay. First of all, allow me to weigh in on the question about burnout, and then I'll build an emotional weight, because I think your questions are building up to something which is very interesting. When I was an intern, I did my internship at Kenyatta Hospital, and one of my 3-month rotations was in surgery. And in those days, I'm sure even now, we would work 36 hours, including in theater. One day, and I'm talking about burnout, we were doing a thyroidectomy with a registrar. And this would have been the 5th or the 6th hour of my being upright. I was a thyroid you remove from very near the mouth. And we are using an anesthetic that was coming into my own face, and I was inhaling the anesthetic. And I collapsed and fell to the ground to recover later, to the great damage or the difficulties for the patient we were operating on. The treatment for an intern 50 years ago who is burnt out is completely different from the one I'm about to discuss now. Just before we came onto this call, at about 6:45 this evening, I was talking to 2 of my friends and classmates, Dan and Betty Gekonyo, who, by the way, passed their greetings to this whole congregation. They work at the current hospital. And we had a WhatsApp call with them, and they are at the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, meeting yet another classmate of ours called Professor Dixit. Now, what point am I making? They have gone to manage their burnout and prevent it by going to America, because they're old people who can afford that kind of intervention. When you're an intern and you've got 2 or 3 little kids, the method you use to intervene and prevent burnout has to be commensurate with your age, with your station in life, with your resources, with the kind of work that you are doing, with the responsibilities that you carry within your family, within your profession. So this whole discussion about burnout and stress and how you manage them has to be discussed in the context of age and life station appropriateness. And anybody who tells you that a second year USIU student in psychology will give you ideas on how has not take it's really age and life station specific. The question about guilt and about emotional being drained is very similar. When you are a second year registrar, the options available to you in terms of how you live with the guilt of leaving your wife and children or your husband and children at home without being with them is completely different from a 60-year-old consultant who leaves his wife and children to go and play golf wherever it is. So what point am I making? From the perspective of an older doctor, or let me say it correct, of a very old doctor, there is no one prescription that fits every age and stage. And the conversation has to be, what is mine? How old am I? What are my family circumstances? What are my financial circumstances? What are my life experiences? Thank you.
Okay. I don't know, we seem to have lost Dr. Njenga.
No, I have not lost you. I'm still here.
Okay, now you're back. Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't lose you. I just switched off. So I said, thank you. I have nothing else useful to say.
All right, thank you. Sorry. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank, all our panelists for speaking, with such honesty. I think what's emerging here is, a truth many fathers live but rarely articulate, that thriving is not just about perfection. It's about presence, it's about permission, it's about healing. So I want to open the floor to our audience. If you have any questions or reflections, feel free to drop them in the chat section or raise your hand. I'll give you a chance to speak. I think I've seen 2 questions so far. I think someone asked, are doctor fathers necessarily different from other fathers in styles of raising their children? And this question has been directed to Dr. Njenga. Are doctor fathers necessarily different from other fathers in styles of raising their children?
Actually, the answer is literally both and no. They are similar to all other fathers in the sense that they have heart, brains, kidneys, and they sleep, they wake up, they fight with their wives, they love their mothers, they mourn their grand. To that extent, they are just like everybody else. They suffer the same or similar rates of depression. They have financial problems. They have to pay tax. On all those ones, they are them. But they are different mostly on 2 accounts. The first account is the one that we are discussing, which is almost a negative one in the sense that the demands put on fathers by society are really very heavy. As I said earlier, if your daughter turns 2 and a mother who is bleeding and about to die in theater, society requires you to go to labor ward and do that. So that's one way in which we are different. We can be removed from our fatherhood by the call of our duties. But there's another side which I think sets us apart positively, in the sense that we understand or ought to understand physiology, biochemistry, psychology, sociology, all so that when your son or daughter is turning 12 or 13, and they are behaving in a way that you, because of your understanding of all this subject, will be able to better understand the issues around fatherhood from a biological perspective. But there's a third one, which I think is the reason I agreed to come to this, but which is the fact that doctors owe each other one. And because we are all doctors, we really should have unlimited access to all. Actually, the fact of being to receive medical care there is without having to pay for it. So the fact that you're a student or a medical graduate, I think I saw one of the differences. I thank you.
Okay. I don't know, is it me or we lost Dr. Njenga again?
Yeah, we lost him for 1 minute.
We lost him for a minute towards the end.
Yeah.
Dr. Njenga, if you could please, because I think you are saying something very important towards the end. If you could just come back again and finish that line of thought for us, please.
All right, I'm back. Yes, I'm back.
Okay, yes. Could you please just finish the line of thought that you were on towards the end, because we lost you for about a minute and a half thereabout.
So I was saying, to moderator,
Yes.
that the fact that we as doctors have unlimited access to the best brains in medicine is an advantage that sets us apart from all other fathers, because thanks to Kenya Medical Association, thanks to President Simon Kigondu, we have access, unlimited access to each other. And therefore, what we lose by having to go to labor ward in the middle of the night and not being fathers is to an extent mitigated by the fact that we look after one another without charge and with easy access to each other. So I think we are different, on one hand negatively, but on the other side very positively. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think I read a comment here by one Dr. Violet Okech, who says a very interesting and enlightening discussion. Madaktari, it's always a pleasure listening to and learning from my mentor, Dr. Frank Njenga, who is truly the father of African psychiatry. We celebrate you and all the Dr. Dad panelists and the moderator, Asante Sana, Dr. Violet Okech, Chief Medical Specialist, Psychiatry, Department of Mental Health, KNH. Asante Sana, Doc. I also read comments from one Geoffrey Omondi, appreciating all the panelists for taking time to share their experiences, enlightening us. Still looking for practical ways to attain work-life balance, as with the current dispensation, many doctors work and live apart from their families. Would any of the panelists care to share some tips on the same? Dr. Rain, would you want to have a go at this? I think Jeffrey is asking, ways of attaining work-life balance with the current dispensation.
Yeah, I kind of got his predicament. I can't say I've gone through that personally, but it is something that I'm probably going to encounter in the near future, where I have to be away from my son, maybe quite a distance away. But I will say that, yeah, it all boils down to making best with whatever time you have with your child. These are things, I mean, as the children grow, once you start understanding things according to your knowledge and your age, then it's easier for them to understand. So I believe that provided that he's there, also let's make use of technology, doing like calls, these Zoom calls and FaceTime and all those things. It's very important. And I will tell you, as a pediatrician, a child doesn't need much. As long as you have like 15-20 minutes with your child each day, that's more than enough to raise a very, very healthy child and a good brain in the future with the neuroplasticity. But at the end of the day, just be as present as possible. As the child continues to grow, they'll understand your profession, they'll understand the sacrifices that you had to make as a father, even though in the present, depending on the age, they might not really understand.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. I think going on to read more comments, I think Christopher Odoyo says he's really enjoyed the session. Wonderful insights on fatherhood for sure. Thanks to the organizers and the splendid panelists. I think this is Anthony Kibore who says, very eye-opening, the challenges father go through. Dr. Njenga has done a great job, particularly on the aspect of guilt and how we respond to circumstances based on age and where we are. It is good to allow ourselves to be human, faults and all. You have humanized yourself as doctors for sharing your fathering experiences. Thank you so much. Okay. Dr. Violet Okech, you requested to speak. Please, let me see if I can just give you the microphone. Are you able to unmute? Dr. Violet Okech, are you able to unmute? Okay, so are you allowed to speak now? Go ahead.
Hi, Dr. Hey,
Hello.
Dr. Njenga. It's so good to see you.
Hello, Violet.
Good to see you. And also it's good to see my former neighbor, disclosure, Dr. Osom Okech, no relation to me, but I've actually interacted with the both of you at different stages in my life. And I just wanted to share with this webinar, people who are in this webinar, that what Dr. Njenga actually says about leaving a legacy, inspiring people to be leaders, is true. And one of the things that has really, that used to really amaze me when I was a young medical officer with an interest in psychiatry, was that Dr. Njenga would write all these wonderful glowing references about me, saying, oh, she can do X, Y, and Z, and seeing things in myself and even in the now Professor Lukoya Toli and Dr. Mushero and others, before we entered psychiatry, and even as when we entered the profession as students, that would inspire us to really, really aim for the stars. And the other thing that really has amazed me about Dr. Njenga is that through every season of his life, he comes up with new things. And I remember there's a time we went to Uganda for a conference, and he was much younger then. And we were like, we think just in the middle of studying psychiatry, and he woke us up at 6 o'clock to go for a run. Him and Dr. Ponti, we were like, no, we don't want to get out of bed. He's like, yes, you need to exercise. So it's amazing. The other thing about fatherhood I see in these doctors who are presented, including the ones who I do not know in person, is that being a dad and a doctor is really a big, big task. And I thank you so much for sharing and being vulnerable about what you're going through. I also especially admire Dr. Moses Osom in the way I saw him interact with his children when they were my neighbors. And the children definitely loved dad and mom. And especially his daughter, has a special place in her heart for her very, very adoring father. Asanteni sana. Bye.
Thank you so much, Dr. Okech. Asante sana for... I see more questions in the Q&A. This is Dr. George Mwai is asking, are we likely to be more accepting of children who achieve less than us at certain ages? Is the profession a burden on doctors' children? Dr. Osom, would you want to have a go at this?
Thank you. So the first bit, what was it? The second bit I got, you said, is the profession a burden to doctors' children?
Yeah, the question goes, are we likely to be more accepting of children who achieve less than us at certain ages? And then the second part is the profession a burden on doctors' children?
For the first bit, I think I would be very accepting of my children, despite what they achieve in life. What I would say is I would try, together with my wife, their mom, who also happens to be a doctor. I've seen a question asking whether doctor couples or something. So anyway, I would really strive to ensure that they get to the levels that they would like to get, not without so much influence. On the second bit, you said, the question said?
The question reads, let me just get it for us. The question reads, where is it? Yeah, the question reads, is the profession a burden on doctors' children?
As I had said earlier, I think I observed how the doctors ahead of us were operating. And one of the things that we said together with one of my colleagues, who is also a very good friend of mine, is called Dr. Vincent Hongo. I'm sure Dr. Frank Jenga knows him.
I know him very well. Go on.
Yes, we sat down with Dr. Hongo and we said, we are not going to be the same doctors the way our fathers were. We are not going to be the doctors who make their children feel like because they are doctors, they won't be available. So in terms of my children suffering the fact that I am a doctor or we are both doctors, we've really strived to make sure that our availability is ordinary. We are actually trying to mimic the schedule of other ordinary individuals to ensure that we don't put a strain on them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think I see a comment here by the WMA President-elect, Dr. Jacqueline Kitolu. Congratulations to all the panelists for sharing on your experiences of fatherhood. We celebrate you as fathers who continue to create a legacy, and as you parent your children, and also remember to make time for yourselves. Another comment here is by Munene. Thank you, and very insightful. My thoughts: some days I come home exhausted from the hospitals, but two little voices shout daddy and everything changes. My sons don't care about my titles. They care that I am there. They ask big questions, copy my work and funny faces, and believe I can fix anything. In their eyes, I'm enough. That's both humbling and scary. Being their father makes me a better pediatrician and a better man. Daily reminder that healing begins at home. To all men quietly showing up, leading with love, shaping future. Future one small moment at a time. You are seen, you are valued, you are making a difference. Yeah. Someone asked, is it possible to get a recording of all the 4 parts of this series? Yes, we do have the recordings. The link will be shared with you at some point after this. I think I have a question that I would like to direct to Dr. Frank Jenga. What would you tell your younger self, if you could go back and give your younger pre-fatherhood self one piece of advice, what would it be?
I have to place a caveat by stating that I became a father at the age of 25. Actually, no, the 24. I was still a medical student. So there's not much of a younger self, a pre-father time for me to state. So, but if I was to advise a younger person who becomes a father at a young age, is that at every corner there will be both opportunities to learn and that there will be mistakes that will be made. I am very big, and the people I work with currently at the Chiromo Hospital Group know that I emphasize a lot on reading. and talking to older people. The reason for that being that I have made so many mistakes in my life, ranging from mistakes as a father, mistakes as a husband, mistakes as a friend, mistakes as a son, that really you don't need to make my mistakes because I have already made them. I hope I have learned from those mistakes. My advice to myself would be, for goodness sake, learn from the mistakes of others so that you don't make make your own mistakes, create your own mistakes so that you can learn from them. But you don't need to learn from my mistakes because I have already made them. I have already paid for the consequences of my mistakes. And ask me at every turn, because I'm available to you, what mistake did you make in relation to going into business? What mistakes did you make in terms of being a professional person? What mistakes did you make in the clinical sense? I will tell you because that's my responsibility to you. And I will tell you those you don't have to make. So for me, talking to my younger self is spend more time with elders, read like a wild person, like you're a wildfire, read biographies, read autobiographies, talk to older people. There is learning at every corner in this world. Consult, talk to older people, and read again when you are finished reading. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Njenga. Dr. Kelvin, I'd like you to speak to the young dads or the soon-to-be dads in the room. What would you say to someone, just starting out, someone who's scared they might not get it right, they might not get the balance right? Drawing from your experience, your mistakes, your wins, your losses, what would you say to them?
Yes, thank you. I would advise them. It's a good journey. It's a very great journey that I began 3 years ago, and it has had its ups and downs. There were times where you feel like you've reached the end, but you keep on moving, because at the end of the day there are people looking up to you. Your example, my children, they how I behave, how I act to them, or how I speak to them, how I encourage them. So I will advise someone who is starting a young family uh, to be strong, and to push on, and just to love those young ones, because they're just full of joy. And another thing, the milestones are just wonderful to see. The first steps, the first social smile. So I used to read them in books, but now, like, I'm just seeing them in real life. So it's amazing. Yes, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Dr. Ngala, I'd like you to just, jump on the same as well. What would you advise that young man who's afraid to start off, just holding back because of fear?
Okay, thanks for that question. I'd say first things first, be kind to yourself. Yeah. Everybody's situation is unique and different. Acknowledge where you are in that situation and just do the best that you possibly can at your level. That I would say is the key. Get support when you're young. You need to definitely support. Surround yourself with fathers. If you're in the same profession, if they're doctors, surround yourself with fathers who are in the profession, who can understand you a bit more. But at the same time, also get the guidance from other kind of fathers in your social aspect, whether you meet those people at church, whether you meet them on other type of social events, family gatherings. It's always good to get the advice and mentorship from people like Dr. Njenga has said. Learn from those who have made mistakes. They can also give you a lot of advice. Those who maybe got kids when they were around your age,
Yeah.
as well. But I will say, yes, it's a journey. You know, the younger you are, the less of the emotional intelligence, the less of the wisdom that you may have, the less of capability, even. You know, finance also, the older you grow, the more financially grow you are as well. And that creates different opportunities, the type of schools you can go to, the type of, you know, healthcare that you can provide for your children in terms of provision.
Yeah.
So just acknowledge that, understand that you as a 20-something-year-old dad will not be able to provide the same way as a 40-something-year-old dad, and don't fall into the comparison trap. Be kind to yourself, get the support system, and one step at a time.
Oh, thank you, thank you. So I think we are headed towards the tail end. We are almost winding up in a bit. But before we close, I'd like to invite each of our panelists to just share a brief parting shot. Something from your heart to those listening. It could be a lesson, a hope, or even a line that you would, like your children or fellow fathers to carry forward. What's that one thought that you'd like to leave us with as a doctor, as a father, or simply, as a man trying to live with purpose? I want to begin with Dr. Kapaya, then Dr. Ngala, then Dr. Osome, and finally Dr. Njenga in that order.
Yes,
Just
thank you.
in a minute.
Oh, okay. So something I'd like to leave with maybe a new doctor, a new father, or someone who wants to be a father. Just don't walk alone. Like I'll just echo what my the other doctors have said. So don't walk alone in this life. Something I came to know is you can't do it on your own. So in whatever situation you are, always try to seek advice, either to your spouse or to someone who is older. Actually, better someone who has passed in the same and had the same experience as you. So push on, love the kids, and also just be good fathers. Yes, and it was a great session, and thank you so much, Dr. Okoth.
Thank you so much also for being with us this evening. Asante sana. Dr. Ngala, over to you.
I would like you to please repeat the question again so that I get my thoughts in order.
It's all right. I think just a parting shot, something from your heart to those who are listening, a lesson, a line that you'd like, your children or the fellow fathers to carry forward. What's that one thought you'd leave us with as a doctor, as a father, or as a man trying to live with purpose?
I think if I could use the word a student of therapy, or what therapy has taught me, is that a lot of the issues that we face in our adulthood, whether it be relationships, social skills, your view with substances or substance abuse, just collapse in terms of life. A lot of it is to do with your parenthood. So it's very important that we don't leave the father wound that a lot of us have gone through, that has impacted us in life, and that we don't know, either consciously or subconsciously going through that. So it's learning that how you impact this child. You have such a huge responsibility for how you nurture, but you also come to realize that as much as there is that pressure, that it doesn't take much to create a loving environment for your child, or to avoid as much adverse childhood experiences or events in that child's life, so that they become a thriving grown-up. So it's very important for us as fathers to understand the weight that it carries in the future of this child's mental health and future. So having that, I think knowing that the power that we have, we should use it wisely. We should better ourselves, and that means that you need to start working on ourselves. If it's one thing I would say, is that before you become a father, make sure that you totally try to work on yourself. Work on, you understand that perfection is not a thing. and working on your flaws so that you don't build this generational curse. Especially fathers to sons, I would definitely want to say that with the trajectory that men were going as men, there's a decline. If you look at the research, the number of men that are making it into college, number of men thriving in the workspace is on, it's in decline. As well as when you look at the suicide rates of men. And you find that a lot of this boils down to the impact a father or a parent has on a child. So it's very important for us to understand that responsibility. We're also in an era where men are being really indoctrinated in a negative way, in a very toxic way. So it's important for us to teach our children very positive masculinity, respect to women, and change the narrative, because the reality is in this space is men are killing men. We really need to do a lot of work in terms of our mental health, and it being June and Men's Month as well. I think we have a lot of work to do. So let's lead by example, and I think we should have better, thriving men.
Thank you so much. Over to you, Dr. Osom.
Thank you. Someone said that what you're trying to impart into your children in the morning and in the evening and over the weekends, someone is negating 8 hours a day, every day for 5 days in school. That's one. So it means it has to be intentional. You have to put thought into making sure that what you are imparting will take them through that antagonistic approach that is happening in school. Not necessarily antagonistic, but basically what you're trying to mold, you actually have someone else trying to neutralize. That's one. Then two, I would advise persons who become fathers to try and be available for their children, because it's said that it will never come a second time. Even if I become a grandfather and I have grandchildren, it will not be the same as when I had my children and I was taking care of them. Actually, it brings me to the thought of when we stayed as neighbors with Dr. Violet Okech. It almost seemed like we were three parents, myself, my wife, and Dr. Okech. One of my daughters really is a friend of Dr. Violet. And one time we went to Mombasa and we met in the same hotel with Dr. Violet. And for a second, my daughter got a bit disoriented and wondered, wait, I thought it was us who traveled, not Dr. Violet. So anyway, another thing, actually, finally, that I would like to say is I am trying to mold my children into what I saw my cousins do, my older cousins, after now my dad was not available. I saw what my dad did. I have put it into my children. I saw what my cousins did, my older cousins. I am putting it into my children. Basically, the way a father takes care of his children is by seeing what the best the society gave and then trying to see how to impart it into their children. So what my parting shot would be, please just be available for your family. It is only one chance, one lifetime. Thank you.
Asante sana, Doc. Dr. Njenga, over to you.
With your permission, I'll make 2 points.
Sure.
When I was in KMA, very active in the Social Responsibility Committee, and later in the Doctors' Welfare Committee, the scientific committee would look down and frown on any non-scientific conversation, such as the one that we are having. The only papers that were accepted at the KMA AGM meetings were papers that went something like this. The prevalence of hookworm among women who sell fish near Obambla Market. Any conversation that Dr. Gigondo is laughing, I can see your face because you know what I'm talking about. These were the real scientific papers rates of anemia and hookworm. The reality is, if you want to know how many women in Obambla market who have hookworm, go ask GP. AI will tell you, because all the papers are there in PubMed. What is not in ChatGPT is what we are discussing today, ourselves, and what we do to and for ourselves, and what resources we have amongst ourselves. And I would like to challenge KMA to actually now steer in the direction of what are now called softer skills and softer subjects, which are issues around how much does a doctor sleep? How much does the doctor exercise? And how conscious are we as doctors about what we eat? Because from there, we can determine how effective we are as doctors to our patients, how effective we are as husbands to our husbands, to our wives rather, how effective we are as human beings. These softer skills you cannot pick out. And if possible, Mr. President, at our next let us not shy away from the real things that make us the human beings that we are. And I think that although we are a diminishing group, we are a very small group, and I know, and I can speak for my classmates of the ones that entered the University of Nairobi on the 4th of July, 1970. We are available to you because really we have nothing else to do in this life. We are waiting for Abraham to bring in the chariots and we take off. But before that happens, I present myself with my classmates, with my friends, with my age mates to your very distinguished service. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much, Dr. Njenga. I think we've had a very, very warm and engaging panel, very insightful. Asanteni sana for creating the time and for being with us this evening. Before I move on to the next step, allow me to have on board Professor Ndavi, just to share some remarks. Prof. Ndavi? I think
you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you, Prof.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for this. This is my second day or second webinar in this series, and I want to acknowledge and thank Dr. Frank Njenga. He is our senior, he's a sage. It is us who are younger than him who can vouch. He may not know. It is us who know who he is. And it's nice to see him still very active. It's a challenge to us, the young ones. Now, one, he brought the issue of legacy, and he did it very well. And to sum it up, you use a socio-ecological model where you start with at the level of intrapersonal, yourself. Then you ask yourself, so what is it you want to bequeath and live on this planet? Then you move now from the intra to the interpersonal, the family, the values, what I have heard all of you talk about, which is very good. The values you want to bequeath and to those whose trust has been placed upon us. That's very important, our children. And then you move on in this model to now the social structures. What do you leave with your colleagues? And you have heard Professor Dr. Frank Njenga mention the minds he has molded across the globe. That's part of the legacy. Then you move from the social, that particular niche, our niche, as in the medical fraternity, outside that social structure. What else? Who else do you impact? Who else do you interact with until they say, I would wish I could be? Not because you have gone to the board and started writing, you will, no. Just by the way you carry yourself. It is very important. That humility. That empathy, that being seen to care for others by those who see you, the way we see Frank Jenga. We saw Frank Jenga a long time ago, some of us. We were in the medical school in the 70s, so we know. Okay? Now, fatherhood, I want to share. We all must recognize our children are not the same. I want to share this with you from my late mother. She used to tell us the stomach of a woman, she didn't know wombs, is like a train which has reached the station. Everybody comes out carrying their box, their bag, their kyondo, their stick, and go their own way. That's how children are. They are not the same. And therefore, we as fathers, we have to pay attention to each child as an individual. Some of us may have wanted our children to be what we are, what, then they come and tell you, I'm interested in musicology. I have seen some of us then try to midwife and kind of steer their children toward what they, as the fathers, the mothers want. It has been a disaster in some cases. So we have to look at, as they grow up, their talent, and what talent are you going to nurture as a father? It means, therefore, paying attention to all. It is not, I have 5 children, I have 2 children, at least one of that. No, no. Each child is 1 out of 1, which is 100%. That's part of being father. Now, it is tricky for us. Some of you are here now, like the young doctor I saw, may one day need to leave and go to another environment to gain more experience, more skills, meaning leaving the children. It becomes dicey, but we must be alive to this. Some of us have had to leave our children, our wives, and move on and come back. So yes, but it's important to identify the strength of each child. And like I tell those, either my nephews or other children, I say, please do this for me. Bite the lower lip, which never gets mucus, because mucus from the nose goes to the upper lip, meaning put your best foot forward and don't be scared. You will get there. Just those words are important to encourage one. And finally, my request. This, as I said, is my second webinar. I am looking at something here. Could we have a webinar on relationships between ourselves? And particularly, I'm sorry, this one I have to say. If you have done it before, then it's because I've not been attending. Husbands and wives. Doctors as husbands, doctors as wives. That relationship. Why do I say so? We can see that family unit, whether in the medical fraternity or outside, is in danger. Young ones are refusing to enter into this. What is it we can share? With that, I just wanted to say thank you, and God bless you.
Well, thank you so much, Prof. I mean, what a way to wrap it up. Thank you so much for the insights. We've picked up what you've said and your suggestions. I believe the other members of the Physician Wellness Committee have also picked it up, and we can promise that we'll action it. So as we come to a close, I want to take a moment to sincerely thank our panelists for showing us that fatherhood, much like medicine, is both a science and an art. It's full of intention, sacrifice, growth, and and a lot of grace. Tonight, I think we've seen that legacy is not something we leave behind. It's something we live day by day, moment by moment. To our audience, thank you for showing up, for listening deeply, and for holding this space with us. Whether you're a doctor, a father, a student, or someone reflecting on your own legacy, we hope that you live with a renewed sense of purpose, a renewed sense of presence, and a better appreciation of fatherhood. To my colleagues in the Physician Wellbeing Committee, thank you so much for having me as your moderator for this evening. Thank you for curating this timely and a powerful reminder. Thank you for the conversation, and I pray that it will be a continuation of many. And to every doctor that's out there, This is just a reminder that you are seen, your presence matters, and your story is shaping more than you know. So that will be it from me. I've been your moderator, Dr. Okoth Onyango. I want to hand the baton over to our convener, Dr. Aida Wanjiku.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Okoth. You did a fantastic job. To Dr. Frank Jenga, I am so honored to hear that you were once the convener of the Social Responsibility and Welfare and later moved to the Physician Wellbeing. Then I seem to be the granddaughter actually walking under your footsteps. I was first the co-convener of the Young Doctors Network, then I graduated to convener of the Social Welfare Responsibility, and now I serve in the Physician Wellbeing Committee. So I am so proud to hear that I am a granddaughter of the great father of Africa in the area of psychiatry. Asante sana, Dr. Frank Jenga. And to all our panelists, Dr. Osom, it has been a great pleasure to have you. Dr. Kapaya, thank you for your courage. Thank you for your vulnerability. And to Dr. Rain Gala, thank you so much. There are so many younger doctors who actually really love you. And in fact, you were brought on board by public demand. So we really appreciate all our panelists. Thank you so much. So as we come to a close of this groundbreaking 4-part fatherhood series, I mean, our heart is truly full. We began as a seed of inspiration to try and carve out a space where male doctors can come together under one roof and reflect, reconnect, and even reclaim their unique role as fathers. And it has truly grown into a movement, as we have heard from our professor, Professor Ndavi Muya. We started with nurturing resilience and shaping futures. We went on to a Pan-African roundtable, Rooted Yet Rising. And then we had the phenomenal Dr. Keith Dindi, who tackled the power of a present father. And today we have talked about legacy in motion. And these were not just webinar titles, really. These were supposed to be and have been soul-shaking themes that have invited vulnerability. It has sparked reflection and it has unearthed a lot of truth. And we have managed to humanize the doctor with the white coat. As we listen to the stories, we have broken the silence. We have shared wisdom that transcends a generation, spanning from over 50 years of fatherhood to someone who is down to 3 years of fatherhood. And so to everyone who has believed in this committee, believed in our craziness, we really thank you. Thank you so much. You have allowed us to make history for the very first time in 53 years of KMA, as attested by Dr. Frank Jenga. We have brought this to life and would not have done it without your presence. And so I hope that we shall continue to have such inspiring conversations as we go forth to be continually transformed into better human beings, because when the father rise, the entire generation will flourish. With those remarks, I want to bring to the podium our president. I will not maybe give chance to the other executive council members, but maybe just the president to give his closing remarks, and then he can also close us out. Dr. Simon Kigondu, ready when you are.
Yeah, I think we are with the Vice President, who is a very good father. He needs to make 1 or 2 comments before I close. Dr. Matende. I think he's over. So I'm here with the people here. Melissa, say hi. Yeah, that's what part of fatherhood is. We want to really thank all the presenters who have given us the journey through the fatherhood. I want to thank Dr. Aida for really leading a powerful team of the Physician Wellness Committee, which includes Dr. Osom, our moderator today. I think the Kenya Medical Association is evolving, and we will take up the challenge that Professor has given us. Professor Njenga has been a father to all of us. And if you look at the history of Kenya Medical Association on YouTube, KMA at 50, you'll find his interview, because he was a very prominent figure together with several other doctors in the early, just before the century turned over. And that is also a form of fatherhood. And they are the ones who have fathered us to be where we are today. And I also consider myself as a father to the young people of Lindsay et al. We're just handing over the baton. That's the role of the father. The association takes seriously some of the emerging issues that are occurring, and we see that they affect the work that doctors do. And as we continue, we are taking up those similar challenges that Dr. Frank Njenga has told us. We are moving a bit more towards these soft skills and policy, and leaving the specialty organizations to do the hookworms and the number of mama mbogas with hookworms. So yes, we are actually doing exactly that. Hence, this series of very unusual kind of webinars that are helping doctors to be better than they were before. So as the association, we will continue doing this, and we thank you all for your support. As you can see, we have roped in gynecologists like my teacher, Professor Ndavi, psychiatrist, Violet, and other specialties. And that is the role of the Kenya Medical Association, to be the umbrella organization for all specialty and tackling topics that may not otherwise be tackled by the other specialty associations. So with that, I want to take it back to Ida to close, and I really thank her for a fantastic job that she has done. And we as Kenya Medical Association are proud of the legacy that we are leaving and handing over to these young ones who have, I can now retire. When I retire next year, I think I will have succeeded in passing on the baton to the younger generation. Thank you, Ida. Over to you for closing.
And with that, we have come to the end of the 4-part series of fatherhood. Thank you so much for your attendance. Thank you for leaning in. Thank you for your contributions, your questions, and your comments. We appreciate it. Until next time, thank you so much, and do have a great evening, and happy belated Father's Day once more. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Good night.